Joanna Simpson here at Risk Minds International in London. Joining me now is Matteo Coppola, Managing Director and Senior Partner, Global Risk and Compliance Leader at BCG. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And just tell me how your experience has been this year at Risk Minds International.
It's been a great experience, a lot of energy this year, a lot of content, very high quality content, I have to say. And in risk management, innovation is very important. And it's also a great opportunity to meet a lot of people, a lot of colleagues, a lot of risk practitioners. So very, very good experience. I'm very happy.
And you moderated the panel, The New CRO Agenda, which highlighted the many market challenges for CROs. What do you think those key challenges are?
Well, I have to say it's almost easy to talk about challenges because the uncertainty of the market and what's happening in the world, right? This year particularly, there's been a lot of emphasis on geopolitical risk. I was at the IIF, few weeks ago, was at the center of any discussion. Cyber risk, technology risk is becoming more important because of artificial intelligence. But I have to say, besides the obvious and challenges that we face today, climate is another one, of course. There are also a lot of opportunities. I think, for risk managers and for chief risk officers, there are opportunities in the future also to reshape the function and step up.
And as you were saying, the risk landscape is complex and always continually changing. So how can CROs navigate this, and might there be some opportunities as well?
That's exactly the point, right? So, of course, there are challenges, but if you look at the relevance, the importance, the weight of the risk function is increasing even more. We've seen this trend, obviously, in the last few years. I like to say that almost the CEO of the future will be as much as a business manager as a risk manager. At the end of the day, there is no such a thing of risk separated from strategy. These two things will go together. They will be embedded, blended in some way. And you really see when you talk about geopolitical risk, when you talk about climate, because it's the core of planning, is the core of strategic thinking of an organization. This is a big opportunity. This will elevate the role of the CRO. Maybe in the future, we'll see also new organizational models that will even strengthen more the position of the CRO.
So it's going to be very much integrated going forward?
Yes.
So how important is scenario planning, and what scenario planning exercises should CROs be doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And scenario planning these days is at the core of risk management. Let me just state one important thing. Risk management is not about forecasting. It is about finding out what can happen, maybe sometimes placing a probability on it, but then advising what is the course or what are the actions to respond to exactly different scenarios. If you think about geopolitical risk and climate risk, which from a regulatory perspective in banking, they are not primary risk, but are drivers of risk. They basically need to rely on a very sound and structural scenario planning. On climate, interesting enough, there are scenarios that are built they're based on science, on climate science. On geopolitical risk, you don't have scenarios. You need to build these scenarios, and that's the art and the practice that needs to be built for risk management. And the geopolitical risk scenarios is actually where many risk managers today are focusing on, and that they're going to be very important for the future.
Another hot topic, of course, AI and Gen AI. How is this transforming the risk management industry?
It's another important and relevant thing. Actually, as BCG, we did a survey with CEOs on application of generative AI and artificial intelligence. And interesting enough, when you ask them what are the priorities when you implement an artificial intelligence tool, at the top was actually, I need to make sure that I have a very quality output and I manage risk. So they're more concerned about risk than the actual use case sometimes. So that's super important. And there are three elements I have to say that are relevant when you talk about risk in the world of artificial intelligence. First of all, managing the risks that are generated by artificial intelligence. right? So it's what we call typically having a responsible AI approach. You need to make sure that you are compliant to regulations. You need to make sure that you actually, you look at the data protection angle of any artificial intelligence implementation, that you actually manage exactly what are the risks that are embedded or involved with any AI application. Second, AI is actually very important opportunity to transform risk processes. If you think about, for instance, in compliance, you can actually improve productivity of processes even by 40%, for instance, in the KYC process. And finally, which is what goes back to the scenario planning, artificial intelligence helps also in decision making, risk-based decision making. So if you need to make better decisions for the future in an uncertain world, artificial intelligence helps on the scenario planning, helps informing with the right indicators, decisions that you have to make based on risk.
And BCG Risk and Compliance has a new tagline. What is it? What's the meaning behind it?
Yeah, it was a long thought process, but it's a simple one. We think at the end of the day, it's risk management is about protecting, steering, and growing. It sounds strange because protecting, of course, is at the core of risk management. Is what you would think naturally, but there is what is very important today because of all this emerging risk is the capability, is the specialization, is the ability to really go deeper in understanding risks. But we're moving to steering because of what we said before. If you have to think about geopolitical risk, climate risk, uncertainty, strategic risk, it is about steering. It's about embedding risk management with the CFO function and thinking how to actually steer an organization. And at the end, also growing because especially in financial in the financial institution space, the data typically are started are really in the risk management organization. So you can use those data for risk management, but you should integrate them also with the commercial organization, make sure you make the right trade-offs or risk and return, and you actually help organizations grow at that level.
Matteo Coppola, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.